permanent secretary, whom also I have worked with in UBEC when I was chairman, directors and staff of the Federal Ministry of Education, acting registrar of the HERACON, directors and staff of the Federal Ministry of Environment. Good afternoon. I'm not really surprised when the minister pulled this chair here. Ordinarily, I will be surprised, but every time I'm taking a ride in his car, we'll be racing so that I'll make sure he sits in his place and he will not let me sit on the other side. So it's something that he always does, you know, very humble. Honorable Minister, we are here today to present you with the certificates of decontamination and disinfection of the Unity schools that we worked on during the pandemic. Well, still we are in the pandemic. So this is really the main reason, but let me go back and start why we even get to that point to decontaminate and disinfect the schools. The aim of the visit really is to consolidate the gains recorded in the interministerial collaboration between the two ministries, that's Minister of Environment and Minister of Education, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is currently bedeviling our country. As members of the Presidential Task Force, both of us, Minister of Education and Environment, we have to collaborate to make sure we prevent and contain and manage the coronavirus pandemic in our country. The need to be proactive cannot be overemphasized, as the PTF is still pondering and considering how to go back to being normal. Well, normality today, really for the next foreseeable future, will be something that we'll just be thinking about, but it will take time. Even after the vaccines have been administered, we'll have to wait for a while before we can call anything going back to normal. You will recall that during the reopening of the schools, the Ministry of Environment, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, we undertook an exercise of decontaminating and disinfecting the schools before reopening, provided surveillance equipment and also stationed environmental health officers to be able to guide the students and teachers in observing the protocols of COVID prevention, and that includes hygiene, which we call the WASH in general, water, sanitation, and hygiene. That's the washing of hands, wearing of the mask, and all the stuff that has now become part of our life. Furthermore, we would like to also appeal to the Honorable Minister to implement the 8th resolution of the National Council on Environment, which we held, when was that, last year, and called for the establishment of environmental health departments in tertiary institutions. Yes, there are departments that may have environmental health programs, but this strictly to be able to produce environmental health officers, because we have seen how important these environmental health officers are, especially during this pandemic. Just recently, we had to augment the Federal Minister of Health with additional officers because the port health are just not enough to carry out their functions at the various airports in the country. So at this juncture, it is my pleasure to present to you, the Honorable Minister, the certificate of decontamination and disinfection of the Unity schools that were decontaminated and disinfected by the Federal Ministry of Environment, attesting the safety and fitness of the schools to be reoccupied at that time just before opening. So I thank you very much, and at this point I would like to present you with this certificate. Okay, this
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, very welcome.
You said you are calling upon me to adopt the 8 resolutions, and you mentioned only one.
Oh, resolution. I removed the S.
Oh. Okay, my dear brother, I would like to welcome you and your delegation to the Ministry of Education. Thank you for what you did to our schools, and thank you for what you are now preparing to do. I know you told me that your ministry is interested in decontaminating our schools for this resumption.
Right.
Unfortunately, January 18th was such a date as would not allow you to do this before the resumption.
Right.
So I don't know, probably now in the ministry will be thinking of how we are going to do it. You are going to make our schools safe, and then you talked about fitness. What does that mean? Besides being safe for students, fitness
That
to
is
what?
still fit to be reoccupied.
Huh?
That is fit to be reoccupied.
I thought safety takes care of that.
No, it's just addition. We need to.
Okay.
We want to add and add.
Yeah, and I would like to tell this gathering that you corrected me before I came. I don't know. Can you remember what I said?
Fumigation.
Yeah, okay. I said we are very happy that the ministry has fumigated our schools. He said no, they didn't fumigate. They decontaminated and disinfected.
Right.
So I still don't know what the difference is.
Fumigation
Yes.
is normally, fumigation is for larger insects and things like that. But decontamination and disinfection has to do with microbes, viruses, bacteria, and other things like that.
Okay.
But fumigation is, cockroaches, flies, you name it, all those big, huge, little crawling stuff, rodents in general.
So thank you very much.
Yes.
I want and I assure you that these certificates we are going, Permanent Secretary will make sure that they are sent to the schools, because I think their use now is merely historical, especially since you will have to devise another way of going back there to do it.
Right, right.
So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming.
Well, on the directive of the Honorable Minister, let me just assure our parents, the teachers who work in our schools, and indeed our students across the country, particularly in our unity schools, that based on the resolve and the collaboration between the two ministries, we do everything within our powers to ensure that as they are reopening, they will also reopen safe.
Yeah.
And the care, we are very careful about their health, their safety, and also their future well-being. That is why all of this is going on, to ensure that they don't only open, but they open safely. So we thank you again for this wonderful opportunity to collaborate with the Minister. Thank you, Honorable Minister. That will be vote of thanks.
Well, first of all, we decontaminated and disinfected 109 schools. These are the ones that we call the unity schools. What is the effect of this decontamination and disinfection? Quite a bit. You see, viruses, bacteria, and some other microbes or pathogens, if you call them collectively, that can cause disease, can be eliminated by this decontamination and disinfection, because we use chemicals that are potent enough to kill viruses, bacteria, and the rest of them on contact. And these are chemicals that have been used before, have gone under through a lot of research to ascertain their safety, and they are recommended by the World Health Organization and approved by United Nations. So this is safe, and it does a lot to eliminate pathogens from an environment.
So specifically talking about COVID-19, sir,
Yes.
Are you saying with the contamination now, the schools are safe for the students to resume back?
Yes, schools are safe. Definitely, we can say the schools are safe. However, sometimes what you find is you decontaminate, disinfect, and then one person probably that will come from outside that might be infected, because especially the COVID-19, you can leave it on surface. So that particular surface that somebody will touch and leave the virus on, that place in particular has become decontaminated. And so that's why we keep track. Also, we have surveillance team in places like that that will make sure people adhere to the protocols of prevention of this spread of coronavirus.
Okay, sir, so how do we extend this gesture to the private schools and ensure that
What-
they are also decontaminated?
Yes, we have done that. We have worked with the private schools. Our advice to the private school is they will pay and do that because these are profit-making schools. But strictly, they must use registered environmental health officers. Otherwise, their decontamination, disinfection is not acceptable and will not be certified with by the Minister of Environment. So it has to be someone who knows the job. Anybody can mix chemicals, but what do the chemicals do? You have to be trained. You have to know what those chemicals can do. Yes, as a matter of fact, yes. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the Minister of Environment has been doing this decontamination, disinfection. We have surveillance desks in all the 36 states of the Federation. We have sanitation desks in Ministries of Environment in all the 36 states, including FCT. We have personnel down at the local government level. Just recently, we posted additional environmental health officers to airport to support the port health that are coming from the Ministry of Health. So this is continuous.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right.